and as it will be going forward, it's time for us to dig into another really great topic of discussion, and that is turning your passion into your life's purpose. Now, this evening's training, I can tell you this, is going to have a lot of content. So I would encourage you to really dig in and take some copious notes. Tonight is step 4. Step 4 of our 10-step training, again, where we're going to talk about really taking your passion and turning it into your life's purpose and identifying what that is and then making some great things happen. You know, I've always said this in my trainings. I've said your passion is your life's purpose, seeking outward expression. All you got to do is find your passion, and you will find your purpose. Now, for me, a lot of times people will say, well, Bob, what is your purpose? It's really simple. I love to change lives. I love to see individuals really grow and progress and become all that they can be. The problem we've got in this country, as this little cartoon somewhat depicts, is this, that literally every day millions of innocent people are forced from their homes by a disaster called work. I know this, you know this. You're never going to get rich working for somebody else. You're never going to be able to achieve the kind of financial success that I believe that so many of us were meant to achieve working for someone else or working a 9-to-5 job. It just doesn't happen. If you're not building your own dream, you're building somebody else's. If you're not making your own plans, you are fitting into someone else's. So what I try to do is I try to help people understand that on a regular basis, teaching them principles of financial literacy, teaching them about wealth creation through real estate investing and through business ownership and through the Renatus marketing plan, helping them understand how they truly can get on a fast track to success, and it just is a decision away. Now, I will tell you this, that a lot of times people will say, well, okay, well, what does it take to really succeed? I can tell you after interviewing literally thousands of individuals, thousands of entrepreneurs over the years, from all walks of life, from all races, from all cultures, from all religious backgrounds, some that never graduated from high school who have become multimillionaires, individuals who have PhDs who have also succeeded, that the only thing that any of these successful individuals have in common, the only thing is this: they each have developed a deep down burning desire to succeed, and they refuse to allow anyone or anything to take that away from them. That's what you've got to do as well. Now, how do you do that? Well, you know what? You've got to find a business that you can really sink your teeth into. You've got to find something that drives you. You've got to find that passion that really becomes your life's purpose. For me, it's Renatus. It's building this community. It's building this company. It's helping empower people on a regular basis. For you, your passion really may be, you know, your life's purpose, maybe your family, maybe providing financial security for them. It may be giving your time and energy to charities. You want to be involved in philanthropic causes, and you need to develop enough income and enough wealth to create the leverage that's needed so you can make that happen. You've got to figure it out. I'm hoping by the time we are finished with this training that you'll have a better perspective on exactly what that is and then what you need to do to be able to move forward and capitalize on it. Now, I can tell you this. Our entrepreneurship model is really simple. I mean, this is not a complicated business. It's not. What it is an opportunity for us to go out and make some really great things happen. See, the story, as Napoleon Hill has pointed out, the story of practically every great sport or every great fortune starts the day when a creator of ideas and a seller of ideas got together and worked in perfect harmony. That's where it all begins. Our entrepreneurship model, then, if we're going to create wealth, is nothing more than creating massive value for other people and then doing it at a profit. That's it. We just create massive value for other people and do it at a profit. Whether that's on the real estate side of our business, whether that's on the marketing side of our business, the more value you create for individuals and for society, the bigger your own personal paycheck and the bigger the payoff, and the greater the reward, I've found as well. You know, so the question lies for each of you, who wants to be a millionaire? Regis Philbin was the first host of the show Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and I always got a kick out of that show because everybody certainly wants to be able to do it, but so many individuals want to step beyond and past the disciplines that are required to really succeed. individuals that go on talk shows, individuals that win money through the lottery, individuals that, make things happen in a game show, and for some reason, they get a lump sum cash distribution. Most of those individuals, within 2, 3, 5 years on the outset, are worse off before than they were before they received the money. What do we learn from this? What we learn from it is this, is that our business in Renatus is all about a process of becoming. And you've got to develop a millionaire mindset, and you've got to develop a millionaire attitude if you're really going to not only create the wealth, but then sustain it and hang on to it so that you don't have this yo-yo effect going up and down and creating further problems. So let's start by getting a crystal clear vision of what you want to become, what you want to achieve, what your business needs to look like. Success is all hinged on this crystal clear vision. I call it beginning with the end in mind. In other words, really envision for yourself who you want to be. Envision what you want to accomplish and what your business will look like 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years from now. Get a crystal clear vision of where you're going, and remember this. I love Dr. Buckminster Fuller. This is one of his great quotes. He said, get your future days paid for so that you can afford to do the projects that no one else can afford to do. What he's suggesting is that there's going to be some sacrifices along the way, but that the payoff is worth it. So get your future days paid for so that you can afford to do the projects that no one else can afford to do. In other words, be willing to sacrifice and do the things today that others are not willing to do so that you can live the kind of life that others will never be able to live. Let's talk about how that starts. So how do you get started on the road to freedom? What does that look like? What is that for you? Begins with finding your why. Finding your why. Now, a lot of individuals go, finding your why, what does that mean? What is that? What is your why? Your why is your life's purpose. It's motivational. It's what drives you to succeed, to sacrifice, and to achieve. Now, for some, I got to tell you, it might be a child's well-being, a family member's need, or it could be your own quest for financial and time freedom. For everyone out there that I've ever worked with or talked to, I can tell you this, it's the reason we endure. It's so important for you to really sit down and define your why. Now, when we talk about what is your why, I also want to discuss what's the difference between some of the other things that hinge off of that why. And before I get too far here, let me also just kind of hit on this. If you haven't really defined your why, if you really haven't defined that passion, that drive that you have, many times you're not going to be willing to do the work that's required to succeed at the levels that you may desire. In other words, you'll have little hiccups kind of come along and things that will derail you along the way. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit later on in this training. So spend some time really defining what your why is. Now, the next question. The next question is, what is the difference between wishes, dreams, and goals? What's the difference? A wish. A wish is this. A wish is something you'd like to have, but you're not actively pursuing at this time. So think about that. Something you'd like to have, but you're not actively pursuing at this time. That's what a wish is. I mean, should we have a wish list? Absolutely. Everybody ought to have a wish list. You ought to be continuing to build on that wish list. These are the things you'd like to have, but are not actively pursuing. What is a dream? What is a dream? I can tell you this. Martin Luther King Jr. certainly understood the power of a dream and the definition of a dream. A dream is the representation of what you one day intend to achieve. So a wish is one of those things you'd certainly like to do, but you're not actively pursuing. A dream, by my definition, is the representation of what you one day intend to achieve. That's why you need to make your dreams so big, so compelling, so amazing that they drive you and they move you to take action. Much like Dr. King, a quote from his famous speech. He says, "Now I say to you today, my friends, even though we face the difficulties of the day and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. Well, I can tell you that with his catalyst of that message, it changed the world we lived in forever. And it continues to transform the lives of individuals, not just in this country, but literally around the world. A dream, the power of a dream, something you one day intend to achieve. How do we define that? Well, here's one way to start. I want you to answer the questions. I'm going to go through a number of them, and I want you to answer these questions honestly and quickly with the very first thing that comes to mind so that we can kind of, flush out what's on top of mind. What would you do if your life, or with your life, if you won $1 million? What's the first thing that comes to mind? Write it down. What would you do if you won $1 million? What would you do if you had to go to college to prepare for a new career? What would that look like? How about if you won $5,000 a week for life? What would you do with your life if your children grow up and leave home? How about your grown children finally move out? What would you do with your life? How about if you lost your present job? There's something to think about. You could only choose one thing in life to do. In other words, process of elimination. You had to get rid of everything else. What would you do with your life if you could only choose one thing in life to do? You could only choose one person in life to spend more than 5 hours a week with. Who would that be? Your child becomes ill and needs constant care. You had 6 months to live. I want you to look at your priorities, your past, present, and future to help you really find your dream. So let me ask this question. What do you routinely say that one day you will do, or that you'll do someday? What life change or way of life are you putting off? Think about that. Would you be willing to live with very little money and pursue a dream, or do you need lots of money to live your dream? What motivates you to be great? Write it down. What could you imagine being in your life that was so exciting that when you go to bed at night, you think, I can hardly wait for tomorrow? What is that? If your dream is travel, where would you go? How long would you stay? And who would you take along? What do you wish to contribute or accomplish during your life? I can tell you that's a big question. What do you wish to contribute or accomplish in your life? What would you like to be remembered for after you pass on? Write it down. Get clear on these things. George Bernard Shaw said this. He said, you see things and say, why? But I dream things that never were, and I say, why not? Well, why not? Why not now? Why not you? Why not this opportunity? Why not? So where do we start? Well, I can tell you it's right here. Let me just kind of share with you what happens. I mean, when we start out as wee little lads and we begin our journey, we always have this ideal of the world we live in and the great things that we can accomplish. There's very few limitations. We have these huge dreams as we're just little kids. My goodness, man. I mean, little kids, they're going to be rock stars. They're going to be astronauts. They're going to be firemen. They're going to be scientists. They're going to be rich. They're going to be wealthy and healthy and wise. They're going to change the world. Little kids have no inhibitions. They have no limitations. It's their environment that suppresses those dreams. It's the environment that they live in and the world they live in that many times helps, shrink those dreams. But as a child, we dream and dream big. We've got to learn how to maintain that over time. I know when I was a kid, I certainly dreamed big. Heavens, even when, I kind of was moving through high school and starting in the dating process with my lovely wife, Holly. We were high school sweethearts. I can remember telling her the kind of house she was going to live in, the kind of cars we were going to drive, the kind of places we would go, the schooling and education that our kids would get. I mean, you build on those things. And then, unfortunately, what happens is that, for us, we got married, and I got this job. That's right, J-O-B, just over broke, jump over backwards, all those wonderful acronyms. And And getting that job, it came with a corresponding income. Now, can you see the disparity between the two, the dreams I had and the income I was realizing? Here's what happens. It happened to me. It happens to most. Instead of really focusing on expanding my income to have the things out of life that I wanted, instead, so that I wouldn't live life in frustration, I found myself shrinking my dreams so that I could basically fit them within my income. See, that's when reality settles in, and that's what happens to people all the time. They shrink their dreams to fit within their income, when what we really need to do, and this is where the focus should be, is we need to focus on expanding our income so that we can have the things out of life that we want. Again, I mean, the only thing that develops, or I should say that separates the wealthy from the poor in this country is what they put into their mind and then what they choose to do with it. So our discussion is very much about expanding your income so that you can have the things out of life that you truly want. Because most of what we want, most of what we dream about, most of what we desire to achieve and accomplish, it takes money to get us there. So how do we make that happen? It's called keeping your eye on the prize. How do you keep your eye on the prize? Well, it's simply this. See, here's you. You're going to have some obstacles. Those obstacles are going to present some challenges. If your dream is so small, those obstacles are going to seem unconquerable, and they're going to become the primary focus of your attention. And every single time, you set out to say, I'd really like to do this, or I'd really like to have that, or I'd really like to achieve this, you're always going to say, yeah, but. Man, I'd like to do this, but I'd like to achieve this, but. Well, sometimes you got to get your butt out of the way. And like we've mentioned before in other training, sometimes it's your B-U-T-T, and other times it's your B-U-T. But you got to get it out of the way. Here's what I would suggest. You need to keep the eye on the prize, and you need to change your focus. In other words, you've got to make your dreams so big, so huge, so amazing that the obstacles are going to seem insignificant to the realization of your dream. Keep the dream alive. Keep it big. Keep it real. Keep it in front of you. And that way, those obstacles are going to seem like nothing more than speed bumps in the road to life. Remember that wealth is a mindset. That's what our discussion evolves around this evening. Wealth is a mindset. It's this, not this. All you've got to do is tune in to Homer Simpson. You spend too much time watching The Simpsons, and if any of that kind of attitude or mentality rubs off on you, it can strap you to a life of misery and poverty and struggle. It's a mindset. Make sure that you are feeding yourself, that you're feeding your mind, that you're developing that millionaire mind that we talk about, so that you think like a millionaire, you act like a millionaire, you make judgment calls like a millionaire, you live your entire life in abundance and prosperity, not in lack and limitation. And it's going to require that you work on yourself more than you work on your business, work on yourself more than you work on your job, work on yourself to become the person of your dreams so that you can truly accomplish great things. Now, there will be some emotional roller coaster rides along the way. It's not going to be one steady, even climb to the top. And you've got to brace yourself for that. And I think it's important to do a reality check based on the emotional roller coaster that is a part of this business. Think about it this way. Here's where we start. We all start in the same place. We've all got our first day, our first week, our first month, in our first 90 days. But when an individual is the most excited in the business is generally within the first 2 to 3 weeks. Because again, they start to dream again. They start to believe again. They want to be able to achieve great things, and all of a sudden they can see that, yes, indeed, they've got a vehicle that can take them there. Now here's what happens. They kind of hit that 2 to 3 week high. They're almost in a euphoric state because they really haven't started doing anything to build their business yet. They're just getting all fired up about the personal development and about the skills training that they're getting in Renatus. Then what happens is they go out and they want to market this opportunity and they want to market our education. And the first person they go to is somebody that they just love and respect, somebody they've known forever. And they think, you know what, if I get this person on board, man, we're going to go to the top together. We're going to make big things happen. So then they finally work up the courage. and they introduce the Renatus opportunity to this very special person in their life. You know what happens? This individual looks at him and says, "You've lost your mind. Listen, don't you ever talk to me about one of these things. Matter of fact, don't you ever talk to anybody I know about one of these things. And I'll even go further than that. Don't you ever talk to anyone you ever think I'll know about one of these things." At that moment in time, you go, "Well, man, gee, Mom, that's kind of tough." See, and we go from that 2 to 3 week high, and we drop down into that 30 to 60-day low. Because Mom says, no, you have got to learn to just brush off rejection. You've got to learn to just say next, 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 and move on in this business. Don't let those emotional swings take you out of the business, because if you get back up and you don't quit and you start to really move forward, what's going to happen is that 90 to 120 days into the business, you're really going to start to get past the learning curve, and you're going to start to drive success. Now, you will find that your emotion lifts, your belief and conviction lifts, you begin to get more understanding, more polished, more accustomed to the culture and to personal development, but you're not going to have, again, one just steady, easy climb to the top. What's going to happen many times is that you're going to ride the roller coaster down a few more times, because you know what? Mom still won't get in. But if you press on beyond that, the ride will smooth out, and as it smooths out, that's when your profits begin to become reality. Your bank account begins to swell, your life changes, and your business transforms right before your eyes, because as you get better, your leads will get better. As you get better, your business will become more profitable. As you get better, you'll find that your emotional roller coaster smooths out and success becomes you. That leads us into the next subject. As we find and define your life's purpose based on the passion that you have, you got to set some goals. If you're going to achieve success, if you're really going to achieve your dreams, you got to set some goals. Now, what is a goal? A goal is a well-defined target with action steps for its achievement. That's all it is. That's the simple form. I love what Earl Nightingale had to say. He said, people with goals succeed because they know where they are going. It's as simple as that. They know where they're going. So let's follow the lead of one of the great personal development coaches of life and say, all right, let's set some goals. Some of the top reasons for setting goals are these. Goals give you a clearly defined target to aim for. Goals help you to concentrate your time, to concentrate your effort on what matters most. In other words, you really become focused. Goals can provide motivation, persistence, and a desire. The goals help you to establish priorities so you know what to do first, second, and third, and carry forth the right action steps. And goals help you to map out the path that's needed to achieve your dreams. You got to have a path. In setting goals, here's a little advice. I'm going to use the acronym SMART, because goals must be smart. The S in SMART stands for specific. Make your goals specific. Write them down and make sure that whatever goal you have established, don't make it general, don't make it vague, really structure the specificity of the entire process. M stands for measurable. In other words, goals have to be measurable. You've got to have some defined markers along the way so that you absolutely can measure the success that you're having from start to finish and completion. The A stands for action-oriented. A little while ago we talked about overcoming fear in one of our past trainings. And we talked about the only way to reverse a negative downward spiral is to take positive action against it. Well, if you're goal setting and you're making your goals specific and measurable, you must take action. All the sitting around and wishing and hoping and thinking about success is never going to materialize anything in your life without taking action steps to make it happen. The R stands for realistic or relevant. In other words, don't put things out there that are so far beyond your capacity or so far beyond reality that you set yourself up for failure. You don't want to create a cycle of failure. You want to create a cycle of success. You know, we've discussed in our trainings before that confidence is nothing more than successful repetition. I want to help you to become confident. So that means that if you're going to make these goals realistic and relevant, You need to create wins along the way. You need to create successes along the way so that your confidence continues to build and lift. And with that confidence build, you'll find that you can accomplish a great deal more. And then, of course, the T in SMART stands for time specific. You got to put a deadline on things. Otherwise, you're never going to have the urgency needed to really push forward to make things happen. Time specific. If you leave a goal open-ended, you'll never accomplish anything because there's no urgency about getting it done. You must make them time specific and put a deadline on your goals. Oprah Winfrey said this: the key to realizing a dream is to focus not on success, but significance. And then even the small steps and little victories along your path will take on greater meaning. That's one of the best segues into our next section that I've ever heard. I absolutely love that quote because it's so true. When setting your goals, you want to realize your dream. That's the reason why you're setting your goals. And certainly you need to follow the path of SMART, right? But the real key to realizing your dream is to focus not on success, but significance. And as you focus on significance and you follow that SMART goal setting strategy that we just laid out, it'll happen, and it'll happen in a big way for you. Remember this, though. Success is a journey, not a destination. I can't tell you how many times over the years that I have set goals and then driven forward to accomplish those goals, and I find that when I've finally reached my destination, you get bored with it really fast. Or, you know, the payoff is great for the moment, but if you don't move beyond it to set new goals and continue with the journey, you're going to get bored, you're going to get depressed, and you're going to feel despondent. I don't want to see that. We were made to move. We were made to contribute. We were made to accomplish things. That's what being human is all about. So if you want to be healthy, you want to be alive, you want to be vibrant, you want to have fun, you really want to contribute, it's time to set new goals because the journey continues. It doesn't just end with the completion of one set of goals that you've put down. One of the other things that's going to help you to really take your passion and develop it into your life's purpose is being able to stay focused and keep that focus in front of you on a regular basis. I'd suggest you write a personal mission statement. That's all a personal mission statement is an opportunity for you to take what drives you, your passion, your purpose, put it in written form, and then focus on it. Now, whatever you focus on enlarges. Whatever you focus on will grow. So this is something that you need to read on a daily basis so that you never forget what your mission is. A personal mission statement is this. It's a brief description of what you want to focus on, what you want to accomplish, and who you want to become in a particular area of your life over the next 1 to 3 years. It's a way to focus your energy, your actions, your behaviors, and decisions towards the things that, well, that are most important to you. That's your mission statement. To be able to successfully craft a mission statement, here's a few bullet points I'm going to give you. Keep it simple. Keep it clear and brief, because the very best mission statements tend to be just 3 to 5 sentences long. Less is more. Your mission statement should touch upon what you want to focus on and who you want to become as a person. In other words, what's your character like? Who are you? What are you made of? And what is your character in this part of your life? Now think about specific actions, behaviors, habits, and qualities that would have a significant impact on this part of your life over the next, again, 1 to 3 years. And make sure your mission statement is positive. It's got to be positive. Instead of saying what you don't want to do or you don't want to be, say instead what you want to do or you want to become. You need to find positive alternatives to any negative statement because what you think about, you bring about. What you continually put out there is what's going to be attracted to you. If you're thinking in negative terms, then negativity and those effects will be realized. If you think about positive, what you want to do, you want to become, well, guess what? Those positive alternatives are going to be attracted to you like a magnet. The other thing is that you want to include positive behaviors, character traits, and values that you consider particularly important and want to then develop further. Think about this. Think about how your actions, your habits, behaviors, and character traits in this area affect important relationships in your life. Think about how that impacts things. And create this mission statement so that it'll guide you on your day-to-day actions and decisions. In other words, like I mentioned before, you need to make it a part of your everyday life. You need to read it every single day, and you need to keep it in front of you so that you can focus on it. Think about your mission and the effects of it. How is it going to affect the other areas of your life? Is it consistent with your other personal mission statements? Will it conflict or contradict something else? Is it balanced? Including an emotional payoff in your mission statement infuses it with passion. It's going to help you to make it even more compelling, inspiring, and energizing. It certainly suggests you do just that. And I want you to remember something. I want you to remember that your mission statement is not cast in stone. It's going to change. It's going to evolve. And it's going to do so as you gain insights about yourself and what you want. So you can certainly draft your mission statement today, but that mission statement may be very different in 3 months or 6 months or 12 months or a year from now, because who you become in the process will change. And many times with that change, your mission statement will evolve with you, and it will turn into something that is more compelling, more inspirational, and creates a greater end result than anything you may be able to think of right now. So don't get all caught up in, setting it in stone and locking yourself into some limitations today. Instead, make it flexible, write it in pencil, and change it as you change. Now, we talked about a mission statement. Let's talk about a vision. In the Bible it says, where there is no vision, the people perish. Well, in business, in life, in marriages, relationships, and everything that you do, you're going to find the same to be true. If you haven't got a solid, crystal clear vision of who you are, what you want to become, where you're going, you'll find that you'll get lost along the way and you'll start to drift. And drifters never really accomplish anything. Your vision can be defined as this: a futuristic view of what a person or an organization intends to achieve. In other words, it's called intelligent foresight. And I want you to develop a very high intelligent foresight. You got to figure out what your vision is. What is your vision? I ask you that question. You're the only one that can answer it. What is your vision? And then how do we tie that into a vision statement? Now, a lot of folks are going, okay, vision statement. I've heard of mission statements. I've heard of corporate mission statements. I've heard of personal mission statements. But a vision statement? What is a vision statement? Well, a vision statement is a vivid, idealized description of a desired outcome that inspires, energizes, and helps you to create a mental picture of your target. What do? Well, you got to write it down. Let's talk about writing a vision statement. Now, this is going to be something that really complements your mission statement. So don't think that these are in competition or in conflict. They will complement one another. What you want to do is this. You want to summarize your vision in a powerful phrase. Take as much space as you need. This is not a situation where you need to be limited by a few sentences. If you need more time, you need to put more down on paper, then do it. Your vision statement, well, it ought to describe the very best possible outcome. It ought to describe your vision statement in the present tense. In other words, you always write a vision statement based on the fact that it is happening or has happened, not in terms of a futuristic experience of what will happen, but you want to write it in the present tense so that it compels you to do those things today to basically model the statement that you've created or the vision that you've created. You need to make your vision statements emotional. If they're not emotional, if they don't inspire you, if they don't drive you, well, then they're not going to have any lasting effect. You need to add sensory details to your vision statement. In other words, use words and phrases that excite you, that ignite your passion, and that really fire you up to go out and do great things. And then what you need to do is just don't keep it a secret. You need to share your vision and that statement with others. And then, of course, just like we talked about with mission statements, you need to update your vision statement on a regular basis because, again, it shouldn't be written in stone either because as you change and as you evolve, you're going to want to make sure that that vision statement modifies with it. I mean, my vision of this company and our opportunity and the lives that we'll touch is huge. But as big as it is today, it grows every single day. It does. Things happen, things materialize to where all of a sudden the vision opens up. And my whole thought process, my whole understanding of where we're at and where we're going suddenly becomes bigger and grander and crystal clear. Make sure yours is doing the same thing. So update your vision statement on a regular basis. And remember this, that mission and vision statements are complementary to each other. See, vision statements show you an idealized description of your ultimate destination, while your mission statements represent your chosen path to get you there. You might want to write that down. Your mission and vision statements are complementary to each other. Vision statements show you an idealized description of your ultimate destination, while mission statements represent your chosen path to get you there. Now, a bigger question. Why is all of this important? Why is any of this important? How many of you have had an opportunity to ever drive along the California coastline, up Pacific Coast Highway, when you run into fog? What happens when you're driving and all of a sudden you run into dense fog on the PCH? I can tell you the experience that I've had. First thing is, you tense up, you slow down. That's the first thing that happens. You tense up, you slow down, because you can't see clearly. You're in the fog. All of a sudden, your visibility and your forecast of where you're going and what obstacles you might have in your way becomes so blurred and limited that you've got to really take your foot off the gas and start to apply it to the brake pedal. What else happens? Well, if I'm listening to the radio, all of a sudden, I'm going to take my tunes and I'm going to turn them way down. I might even roll down the window so that I can kind of hear things outside as I'm going through the fog to make sure that I'm trying to develop, a little better, better feel of my surroundings by, opening up all of my other senses to it. You have both hands on the wheel. You sit up in your chair. You look forward, and you focus intently on what's right in front of you. Why? Because you can't see any further than that. That's what happens when you're driving along PCH and you run into a heavy fog bank. Now, what happens when the fog lifts and all of a sudden visibility is 10 or 15 or even 20 miles into the future? What happens when all of a sudden now, you can see forever because it's crystal clear, the sun is shining, everything's great? Well, now you kind of lean back in your chair a little bit, you roll the window back up, you crank up the tunes, you hit the gas, and you go flying into that next corner because you can see where you're going and what you're doing. Folks, you must have a crystal clear vision of where you're going in this business so that you can arrive at your destination loose, refreshed, excited, so that you keep your foot on the gas because there's never any question about, the curves ahead, you know where you're going and you know how you're going to get there. It's when people lose their vision, they lose their way. That's when they tense up, they tighten up, they slow down, they put their foot on the brake instead of on the gas. That's why vision is so important. That's why getting your mission statement drafted is so important. And having the two of those work together with the goals that you set so that you have a roadmap in place that will help you to move forward to your dream. Remember the definition of a dream? It's what one day you intend to achieve. Remember, your passion is nothing more than your life's purpose seeking an outward expression. It is. Find what you're passionate about. Identify and define your dream. Really get clear on why you're in this business, what drives you in this business. What do you want to accomplish? What do you want to do? What is the success you realize going to do to help your family and to help the lives of other people? Put it down on paper. Get crystal clear vision of where you're going. And then remember this. Dr. Peter Drucker, one of my favorite quotes, he said, the best way to predict your future is to create it. This training, step number 4, is all designed around you creating the very best future possible by getting present to where you are and then being able to, with that presence, craft a plan that will help you to stay in the moment, even though you've got a really crystal clear vision of the future. Because it's the moment that we live in that determines what our future is going to look like, what our future is going to be like. Get present to the moment, get present to who you are, get present to who you want to be, and then move forward to become the person of your dreams so that you can live the life of your dreams. I've said it before, I'll say it again. This truly is your year of empowerment. I'm thrilled to be able to take time each Monday night as we map out our 10-step training. I want each and every one of you to really think about the things that we've shared this evening and to craft your mission statement, your vision statement, to put in place your goals, your plan to achieve the thing that drives you to get out of bed in the morning and stay excited all day.